So you want a new car, and you spend every day poring over Facebook Marketplace looking for the perfect used car that's a good value and it's a lot of fun. And then you see it. You see that amazing car that you had no idea was so cheap, was so fast, was so luxurious. Well, before you go any further, before you buy that car, stop, watch this video, and make sure it's not one of the cars on this list. Because these are the forbidden fruits of the used car marketplace. And you are gonna want nothing to do with them. What's up, viewer? I'm the Squid, this is Ideal Cars, and I'm about to run you through a bunch of cars that you definitely might see on the marketplace that you need to avoid. So go ahead and smash that subscribe button down below, turn on the little bell, and let's get into it. Oh, do you hear that? What is that sound? Sounds kind of like an F1 car screaming at you. That's right, it is the Ideal Car favorite and least favorite, the E60 M5. Now, I'm not gonna lie, when I started here at Ideal Cars, we talked about this car so much that I kind of really wanted to buy one. But take it from me, once you do the research, once you talk to anyone who has owned one, you know, do not consider buying an E60 M5. And why not? Well, because that notorious S85 V10, the F1 inspired monstrosity, is notorious for failing rod bearings. What does a failing rod bearing mean to you? Well, if you own a really expensive German luxury car, it means a hell of a lot of money coming out of your wallet on the reg. That's right, nasty repair bills that will literally cost you as much money as buying the whole car again. And I don't know about you, but that does not sound like my ideal car. I know, I owned a Land Rover that was basically that. Don't do it. Now, it's not all bad news. If you are one of the lucky few to not have these problems, you definitely have my jealousy. Because you're driving around in one of the most badass German cars to ever be made. But don't be fooled. As you're driving around in that car with your pedal to the metal, you are just driving straight to the mechanic shop. Because if it's not the rod bearing failing, it's gonna be that throttle actuator up next. And after you fix those, well, too bad. You bought the SMG model, and guess what? You are going to quickly regret that choice because those SMGs love to explode. You should have bought the manual transmission. And you should have bought our shirt up here that is all about saving the manual transmission. Another reason you probably didn't buy the manual M5 is because they're worth tons of money over their SMG counterparts. Probably because of their known failure point. And again, I know, this is the most tempting car on the used car market today, pretty much. And why? Well, you can get this 500 horsepower F1 powered BMW sedan for around 15 grand. And if you're lucky enough to find one in a manual, you're talking about 10,000 bucks more, which might actually be worth it because you're gonna go through a few of those SMG transmissions. So yes, even though these are a performance car steal, they are an absolute bargain. Thanks to the repair issues involved with the E60 M5, go ahead and just watch YouTube videos about them instead of actually owning one. Let somebody else deal with the repair bills. And that same point holds true for our next vehicle, which is, let's be honest, literally any Range Rover, or Land Rover for that matter. Do you love rental cars? Well then, maybe you actually should get a Range Rover because you're gonna get really used to driving around in rental cars on the regular. Why? Well, the British aren't so great at making anything with electricity in it. And most of the time when you sit in one, you can kind of tell they might have been drunk when they made it, and even when they put it together. Which is a shame because Land Rover designs are so timeless. As somebody who has owned a Land Rover for nearly a decade, I can tell you that I probably spent 8 years out of those 10 with my car in the shop or broken down or needing a part the entire time. And aside from their reliability, they're also just one of the worst depreciating cars on the road. Any Land Rover is going to lead the charts in value lost in the first 5 years, which is great for you if you're buying them used, but if you're buying one new, it's gonna hurt. And I know we're mostly talking about Range Rovers here, but I owned a Land Rover Discovery, and again, these are one of the most tempting vehicles on the used market of all time. You can get them for like 3 grand, they're more capable than a Jeep, they're more luxurious than an Audi, they're fantastic, they're beautiful, and they're unreliable as So pretty much, if you're out there and you don't have deep bank accounts, just avoid the entire Land Rover lineup in general. Save yourself time, money, and keep all the hair in your head, and just avoid them at all costs. Now, next up, we're not gonna talk about a car that's known for reliability issues as much, and it's not that tempting on the used market, but you might be considered buying one new. We're gonna be talking about the Mitsubishi Mirage. Sure, This is a fantastically cheap car, but it is also a fantastically cheap car. Let me explain. Brand new, these are around 14,000 bucks, which is insane for a new car. And fun fact, if you go to a dealership and argue with them, you can likely get these for closer to 10 grand out the door. Seriously, they're built cheap, they're engineered cheap, and they're designed to be sold cheap. What's wrong with that though? We're Ideal Cars, we're all about cheap. Well, first of all, if you know anything about Big Daddy Doug, you know that he said that this is quite possibly the worst new car you can buy. I mean, the interior is just awful. The motor is barely alive. It's so underpowered that driving it is practically a chore. So yes, while we here at Ideal Cars love cheap cars, and the Mitsubishi Mirage might be the cheapest car of all time, it's a pretty hard car to love. You're honestly way better off buying any used car for that $10,000 you would have bought that Mirage new. And if you need a suggestion of a great car to buy for under 10 grand, check out this video up here. So while the Mirage may never actually make you feel like a millionaire or even a thousandaire, this next car on our list will likely trick you into thinking that you could be part of the 1% club. But just know what you're getting into if you go down this road. Because pretty close to the price of that Mitsubishi Mirage, you could get yourself a Maserati. But trust me, you do not want to. Sure, it'll make you look rich, even though you're on a budget. But you might actually still need to be rich to own the thing. Because not only is it unreliable, it's an exotic fancy luxury car, which means it has exotic fancy luxury car prices and parts to fix it. Remember, this is a Maserati. Under the hood is a Ferrari engine. You can't exactly go down to Napa Auto Parts and get an alternator for it. It's gonna be pricey to maintain. And what's worse is that screaming beautiful Ferrari V8 engine is mated to a pretty crappy semi-automatic transmission, the Duo Select. It is a total nightmare to drive in city traffic as it searches around for gears. So yes, there is a Ferrari V8 packed under an exotic supercar body that looks beautiful for around 15,000 bucks. And every time you hit the gas on the highway, you are going to love the sound that thing makes. But before you consider buying one, really think about why you're buying this expensive luxury family hauler. Sure, you might be wanting to buy an everyday run around town flex machine. Just don't drive it every day, or even kind of go that far around town. Because you're always gonna wanna be nearby your favorite mechanic. Because I'm pretty sure Quattroporte is Italian for 4 times as unreliable. All right, what if you wanted all of the fun and enjoyment and sports carness of a Mazda Miata and none of the Miata reliability? Well, guess what, fans? The RX-8 is always the answer. Yes, the painfully unreliable Mazda RX-8 is an absolute delight to drive. And it's a rotary, so it loves playing and dancing up in that 9,000 RPM red line area. Meaning it's as fun to listen to as it is to drive. But it's also a rotary, and it's dreadfully unreliable. How unreliable? Mazda had to actually build a whole new factory just to make replacement RX-8 engines when they came out, because the brand new ones typically didn't even last 80,000 miles. So if you don't want to be stuck shelling out thousands regularly for brand new motors, or learning how to fix apex seals on a Dorito, stay the hell away from the all too tempting Mazda RX-8, and you'll thank me in the long run. Luckily, this next car is probably a lot easier to avoid nowadays, but you should still be very aware of it. We're talking about the Ford Pinto. The original introduction of the Ford Pinto to the Ford lineup created some pretty explosive sales numbers, and really set a fire under the seats of its competition. And all was going great until Ford discovered a wee little problem. And that problem was with the Pinto's gas tank. You see, the engineers over at Ford decided that the gas tank should go way in the back of the car, to protect it from all the damage up front. What they didn't think about is cars are regularly rear-ended, and that gas tank had basically no protection from a rear-end crash, which means you get in a little fender bender with somebody not hitting the brakes behind you, and you're suddenly on fire. Now, luckily, it's 2021, you don't really have to worry about finding a Ford Pinto nowadays, and a lot of them have been recalled and fixed and updated and blah blah blah. But still, you should know what you're getting involved in if you see a really cheap Ford Pinto for sale. It may just be the last car you ever own, and I don't mean that in a good way. And look, while we're on this topic, we might as well cover just about every 70s muscle car ever made. Now, 70s muscle cars aren't bad, they're actually completely badass. But in the mid-70s, there was this little thing called an oil crisis. So the general auto market moved away from big gas-guzzling muscle cars and into, smaller, lighter stuff like that Pinto, which kind of ruined the muscle car market at the time. Need a good example? Picture a Dodge Challenger back in the 70s. It's this big, badass, muscly muscle car. Loud and proud. But then, take a look at one from 1978. That car sucks. Just there's no other way to say it. That car just sucks. What about a classic, good old-fashioned Ford Mustang? Beautiful, right? It's as beautiful back then as it is today. But in 1975, it looked like this. So yeah, if you want to own a piece of classic American muscle, your best bet is just to avoid the mid to late 70s altogether. Just save yourself the hassle. Now, unsurprisingly, we're going to talk about another American car on this list of cars you should totally avoid. And we're going to be talking about Michael Scott's favorite drop-top ride, the Chrysler Sebring. And this car can be summed up in pretty much just one word: sloppy. The craftsmanship, sloppy. The design, sloppy. And most importantly, the handling and the ride, sloppy. No matter which flavor of Sebring you got, the convertible, the coupe, the sedan, the Chrysler Sebring was underpowered and unreliable. And also just ugly. I mean, you'd have to be basically a bumbling idiot of a middle manager at a paper company to want to really own a Sebring, or to be caught dead in the drop top. Chrysler should have thrown the design of the Sebring in the trash the instant it was presented to it. But unfortunately, they made the car, and now we have to put them in the trash of a junkyard every time they break down. Alright, so now for our last car on this list, we're going to talk about yet another Maserati you should avoid. Which, are there any Maseratis you shouldn't avoid? Let me know down below. And unfortunately, Maserati decided to use the name of one of my favorite animation studios out of Japan for their next car, the Maserati Ghibli. It's kind of incredible that Maserati today still makes the Ghibli. With all their bad quality issues and their unreliability, the Ghibli is one of the most fastest depreciating cars on the planet. Meaning that today, if you can afford to maintain it and keep it running, you can buy yourself a Ghibli for around 20,000 bucks. That means that this car, in about 5 years, has lost 75% of its value. That might actually be the most depreciated car of all time. And while that is tempting to drive a Maserati for 20 grand, that isn't even that old, it is just not worth its price of admission. Sure, it comes with the Maserati emblem on the hood, but like we saw with the Quattroporte, that's basically meaningless because you're pretty much gonna have that car in the garage all the time. No one's ever gonna see that badge. So to you, that badge just means that your clutch job went from $3,000 to $30,000. Because yeah, it has a fancy Italian name and an exotic car heritage. But what it also has is just absolute dog shit build quality. I mean, people today are complaining about their Tesla's build quality when they have gaps of about 1/8 of an inch. But step into a Ghibli and you can fit a tube of toothpaste between the gaps in that. Which maybe they did that on purpose. Maybe they didn't have enough cup holders and storage space, so they added some gaps for you to store your documents and toothpaste in. So again, as tempting as the Ghibli might look when you're browsing through Auto Tempest, avoid it and pretty much any used Maserati at all costs. Avoid all the cars on this list at all costs. Or if you do buy one, at least we told you what you were getting into. So that's our list. Let me know which one you think is the worst down below. And also let me know what are some other terrible cars that we should avoid. And while you're down there, like the video, subscribe to Ideal Cars, turn on the bell, because we're gonna keep bringing you content like this every other day. And that's how you and we and everyone lives the ideal lifestyle. I'm going there.